So today we're going to be going over the differences between Evanescia and Silverwolf level 9s. Between the two, honestly, I do think that we have a little bit of a discussion when it comes to character profiles and what the characters are actually going to be capable of doing, right? So moving over to obviously let's start with SW level 9s, in that obviously, as people know, she is the anniversary main push. She is extremely powerful, especially if you can even get her to E2, having more instances of her enhanced attacks, being able to increase the damage dealt. The damage that enemies take is increased when you have your zone ultimate, and her hidden MMR system, which is very similar to most anniversary characters and Finon, being that she doesn't have that generic stereotypical ult. You have to accumulate a lot of punchline, which converts obviously into the hidden MMR system, allows you to activate the ultimate, the god mode on. Evanescia, on the other hand, is a very, and I don't mean this negatively, I actually mean this in a very positive manner, a very simplistic DPS character. She is Elation, right? She does prioritize and focus around an Elation mechanic, that being certified banger, whereas SW9s focuses mainly around punchline and hidden MMR. Evanescia focuses on the certified banger, increasing her Elation damage, which also helps in the rewarding of boosting her ultimate. Now, when it comes to actual team building capabilities, right? For the most part, I'm going to be showing you what the ideal team setup is going to be for both characters. And we'll start with Evanescia right here. Ideally, you would want to be having Yao Guang as your supporting character for both characters. To be completely honest, she allows for an extra instance of the Aha. She allows for All's type res pen, which is very nice. You're going to be having Huahua, who is also a very, very good character. And then where are you? You are going to be having the Elation Trailblazer MC. This is the ideal setup you're going to want to be having. Reasoning for this is Elation MC is going to be allowing an extra instance of your Elation skill because of their ultimate, increasing certified banger, increasing punchline, which allows for more damage, right? And let's go ahead and now move over to SW9s. You're going to be having her, you're going to be having Sparksy, you're also going to be having Yao Guang, and then you are going to be having Huahua. This is the ideal team you are going to want to be using. You can also, instead of Sparksy, you could get away with the Elation Trailblazer. You will be lacking a little bit when it comes to how frequently the punchline mechanic is going to be occurring. But in terms of characters that people should prioritize and get, those are the characters. Obviously, Yao Guang is her own special case because of the fact that she is on both teams. But when it comes to the main character, and I want to add this little tidbit here that I think Hoyo has actually done pretty good. Now, keep in mind, obviously, this could all change in the future with the release of other characters, kits that we currently don't know of. But we know for a fact that this is the anniversary main push, and she's extremely powerful, one of the best characters in the game. We get that. We understand that. Evanescia, on the other hand, is a very powerful character in her own right that was deemed posted to oblivion by a lot of different outlets, but she's still very powerful even at E0S1. I have showed that already. When it comes to ease of play, though, I honestly do think while technically both characters are extremely easy to play, now you might have to say, well, hey, Nether, that's because you have like the main teams for both characters. Yes and no. Without even this, I used this team as like a showcase of what the characters are going to be capable of doing, and I swapped you out for like a Sparkle or even for like a Sunday in this instance, or even take her out for Evanescia. You can still technically make that work as well. I do think in terms of just how ease of play, both characters are, I want to say Evanescia is actually a little easier to play in terms of like fluidity and just how the character functions, because you don't have the MMR system with SW level 9s in order to activate the ultimate. hindering Evanescia. Evanescia is just like, hey, I just want energy, let me get energy, I can also get it myself. I want a character who can support me to give me energy, i.e. Huohuo right here, and I should be good to go. I do a lot of Unga Bunga damage very consistently. SW9s does more damage, but in terms of just ease of play, I think Evanescia is easier to play. Now, when it comes to ideally who you should summon on, right? Let's say, for example, you have Yao Guang, or you are going to be pulling her in the next patch, because she is going to be rerunning, which is very soon, but also very good for an Elation team. Whether you want one DPS or the other DPS, you're going to need Yao Guang because of what she's capable of doing. When you want to talk about, I don't want to vertically invest into a character, I just want to get the character and their light cone. Who should I get? Honestly, I do think Evanescia probably edges out just out of ease of use, right? She's able to ramp up, I think, a lot quicker than SW9s. But once both characters are, you know, fully ramped up, I do think Silverwolf does more damage. But when it comes to damage they're able to output as the gradual incline for DPS increases, and the ramping process starts, I do think Evanescia does probably slightly a little bit in the earlier to mid stages, whereas the end stages of the ramping process, Silverwolf actually does more. When it comes to actual vertical investment capabilities, and you know, you want to talk about a character like, oh, I don't want to invest too much, but I do want to get dupes, what should I do? Well, you know, let's take out the equation of like an early double, because that is so far in between, right? Evanescia wins out. You can just get her E1 and just sit real pretty. Like, she does a lot of damage. Yes, E2 helps tremendously, but if we're talking like, you know, you just want one dupe or whatever, E1 is definitely far superior than Silverwolf's, because Evanescia gets a slightly bigger jump when it comes to that. E2 wise, again, Silverwolf actually prevails here. Having more instances of your God mode player state is extremely beneficial. Being able to recycle a ridiculous amount of hidden MMR is very strong, and also, you know, like I said, having more instances of her enhanced basic attack is very good. Both characters have positives and negatives to them, but overall I do think Evanescia, which is honestly very surprising, and I'm not just saying this because I actually wanted the character more before the patch even dropped for anniversary, and you know, she was my main character I wanted to get. I think overall Silverwolf is stronger, like just inherently overall she is stronger. Ease of play, I do think Evanescia, given team restrictions, is better to play, given the fact that you can technically have two free-to-play characters right here on Evanescia's team and still be extremely good. Whereas, where are you? Whereas the SW9's team, obviously you would take Trailblazer out, you would put Sparksy, and then obviously Evanescia would be SW9. So it's a more expensive team when it comes to Silverwolf compared to the Evanescia team, which is actually cheaper while still doing a lot of damage, which I think is just extremely beneficial, and actually caters to a lot of players who don't want to spend a whole lot or just want to be a dolphin, whatever it may be, right? Evanescia is extremely fun. Silverwolf is extremely fun, but in terms of, for me personally, whether you want my opinion, give you a definitive answer, who should I get without any dupes, just E0 S1, I do think Evanescia is the superior option.